Hey Steve, how are you?
Hello. Fine, thanks. You?
Yeah, good. Your audio is very, very quiet. You sound like you're quite far away.
Check on you. Is it better now?
Much better, much better. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thanks. The issue is just how can I configure the audio output differently? I
Uh,
have a better microphone, but I'm not used to Discord. This is, in fact, my first Discord AMA.
oh,
So,
really?
yeah, I'm more of a, Skype, YouTube,
Yeah.
Jitsi, Boom, this kind of guy.
It's because you're so professional, Steve. We're still we're part professional, part degen, and quite proud of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for making the time today. Like, fully appreciate you. Super busy man running, obviously a very large organisation. Certainly yeah, compared to little old us. So yeah, really appreciate you
Oh,
taking
no,
the time today.
definitely. Also, we are partners. Don't forget.
Indeed,
I
yeah,
like the project. As people know, I'm an investor in you guys. So it's in
yeah.
mutual interest to support each other.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I typically, to be fair, I don't. I typically won't mention people's personal bags unless they give me permission to. Not obviously, I'd never talk about amounts, but I wouldn't. Yeah. So I've never actually said that publicly or announced it. So yeah, really happy that you have, because
Okay.
your name actually could comfortably be in black, which is a pretty big deal around here. If you connect your wallet that's holding your MDB tokens to our Collabland bot, and your name in our server will turn black. James Pelton, his name is in black, and because of the deflationary nature of our protocol, obviously the idea is that it becomes harder and harder for somebody to hold more than 1 million tokens, and that's how you get VIP. So the idea is that in 12 months a vip is 100k, and in 2 years it's 250k, and yeah, so it's quite a big deal around here.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, I like the idea mostly because I like the people behind it. I'm not a techie guy. I'm more like a people's person. So if I see someone who's really pushing and I saw that you're really working hard on your project, then it's more like I trust the people behind the project, not the project metrics in itself so much. Compared to that, it's not so important to me. This is why I'm here.
Thank you, it means a lot. So there's still people coming in. Typically we get sort of people drip in. I don't know about your own AMAs, but typically people are always late, and we typically peak between sort of 5 and 10 minutes in. But I wonder, so in terms of our agenda today,
There's no video here, right? There's no
there's
video
no
function.
video. I bet
I
you've
was
brushed
putting
your
my
hair.
YieldNodes shirt that I put on for promotion for nothing. Really upset now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, no video, no video. You're a good-looking guy, Steve. Whereas some of us, want
Yeah.
to stay hidden.
Not really, I got also some cool messages of people who told me, you know what, Steve, you aged horribly the past 3 years. I saw your picture on Facebook or somewhere, and you have all wrinkles in the face. Is YieldNodes not going good? Is something bad happening? You can tell me so I can. And okay, I said, yeah, sure, please just go away. I'm kind of offended. No, but it's a stressful job, it. When you're in charge of a lot of money and when you have so much responsibility and a lot of things that also need a little bit of luck. not a little, kind of like a medium amount of luck to work out. It's quite tiring, need to admit. It's fulfilling when the plans go up and when everything is working. But now that we are all fighting through this bear market, everyone waiting for the bulls to finally show up.
Yeah.
It is a little bit tiring at times, I admit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's hard work. It's hard work. You just have to dig into it. I suppose, yeah, I'd love to be an organization that collected tens of millions of dollars of Bitcoin 3 years ago. That would be a great position to be in.
Yeah, yeah. It depends, also because like a lot of the metrics in our project are also trying to keep money in the system in a sense that we depend a lot of the coins and the coin values and the liquidity of the coins. So we had to continuously reinvent ourselves as well, with the emergency withdrawals to keep money in the system and the different setups, the apps, the languages. There's a lot of things at play, but at some point the market needs to rebound. It's probably the same for $1 million baby, that at some point you really need to get up.
Yeah.
The hype needs to come back. I understand you probably see too, in the world, everything is going much, much worse than the positions that we are in. When you look at the inflation, the war with Ukraine,
Mm.
the pandemic, the soon to come energy crisis that is the horizon. Yeah.
Mhm.
All in all, I think we're in quite privileged positions. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think for me, I think similar to you, when you've got, I've been through recessions and all of that stuff. It's when you lap the bad numbers for the first time is when you start to get a lot better news, right? Because the world always looks at what are the numbers today versus a year ago, and so I think naturally when we start getting to sort of Q2 next year, then the optics can start to look more improved, right? Because
exactly.
you're lapping difficult numbers, and as humans, we're quite irrational, really. Yeah, no, but thank you. In terms of the
Depends, it's a
agendas,
lot of management. No, tell me. Sorry, didn't want to
no, no,
interrupt you.
no, that's all right. Go on, Steve.
It was just that it's also a lot about managing people, and people's expectations in what they invested or what they partake in. So I need to be very careful in my position to not, hype a project, because then I'm a shiller. If I sound too depressed, then oh no, the program is not going well. We need to emergency withdraw everything out of there as quickly as possible. So for me, it's like walking on a tightrope, kind of like, and I need to convey everything honestly and in a transparent manner, and at the same time watching the tone very carefully.
Mm,
Sometimes it's quite interesting, because sometimes we release some good news and people panic. For instance, past to tell you some story out of the, say out of the some insider story, we released some quite good updates during the past few weeks. Like, we added the languages, we released the Android app, iOS is going to follow. And because we did so in rapid succession, a lot of people were messaging me and asking if we were panicky because we had so many good developments that maybe the market is not going, or the yield is not going to look very good, and if this is the reason why we update so quickly. So you see, you can do something good and get a negative result, as if you do something bad, it can also be interpreted as something good. So it's really doing sometimes.
mm, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. By the way, because and it's an action we need to update, because I think on the partner website we have $1 million baby. So we $1 million baby was the first token in the ecosystem, and we pivoted our institution name is Make DeFi Better. That's what MDB stands for now. So just to
Okay. That
let
was
you
still
know.
in the $1 million baby vibe. Understand.
We're still. I think if we, the original name come from this ambition to have a very fair protocol that could create wealth for large numbers of people rather than concentrating wealth in a very small number of people, which is what most crypto projects
Make
do, right?
DeFi better is better, I believe.
Yeah,
At least in
yeah.
my ears.
Thank
Sounds better in my ears. The other is a little bit, gonna make
you.
millionaires quickly
Yeah,
overnight. It's gonna get very dangerously towards the
yeah,
scammy promises,
definitely.
territory.
Yeah, definitely,
Nice.
definitely. And it's yeah, just because she would want me to say it. Our marketing manager came up with "Make DeFi Better," and "Million Dollar Baby" was my fault. So I take there's a reason why I do the numbers and not the branding.
Okay. No, but still,
um, so
not bad. If you have something good cooking and if it's working out well, so far it does. I'm very happy with my investment, would be told. And I'm looking at it at the long game. I'm not one guy who's going to invest and trying to capitalize on investment quickly. I believe that you guys have a good long-term vision. This is why I'm a happy camper. So I'm fully transparent. I also invested in other projects that I do think have a long-term plan, because I'm not the kind of guy who just wants to flip a quick buck. Rather help the ecosystem thrive, because if we expect that from our investors and partners, it's also imperative that we do, as people, we're also following the same schedule, the same proceedings, I believe.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, so you heard it here first, guys. It's something that I certainly haven't mentioned. I wouldn't have mentioned previously, but yeah, no, Steve is an investor in MDB as well. So that's and thank you as well. In terms of the agenda today, so it's fairly clear agenda. First, what we're going to do is, I'll do that. There are people here that I haven't seen before, so I'll do a brief introduction into kind of what MDB is, our ecosystem. It's not a pitch; it's just a if you're here for the first time, help you understand the protocol, and then obviously if you stick around and want to learn some more, we've got a very active community who'd be more than happy to help. And then I'll ask you, Steve, for an introduction, and then what we'll do is just following that introduction, maybe walk through some of the history of YieldNodes, talk a bit about the relationship between sort of MDB and YieldNodes, and then I'll ask you a few questions. And then typically what we do is then open up to our community questions, and people are super fascinated and interested in YieldNodes, so I'm expecting that we're going to get a lot of questions today.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Start.
So, in terms of introduction, that if it's your first time here in the MDB server, thank you for coming along, and yeah, I hope you stick around to kind of give you sort of the 2-minute introduction to MDB. So, MDB stands for Make DeFi Better. It's an ecosystem which has a collection of different tokens, all with slightly different risk profiles, but really, the reason we set up this project and our ambition was, quite frankly, I've got lots of experience in the real business world. I've worked across Fortune 500 businesses at a senior level. I've worked in the startup technology space across many different technology industries. Very interested in crypto. I see it has huge possibilities to change the world as we know it, albeit has an extremely high failure rate as well. So as an investor within the industry, I was quite frustrated, and for me, I spent a lot of time thinking about what are the major things that kill projects within this industry, and ultimately we built the MDB, the first token, and then the ecosystem around it was built on this system that we call capital synergy, and ultimately what we've built is a protocol that fights against those major risks, so lack of liquidity, lack of new buyers, whales within the protocol, all sort of typically they're major threats within normal protocols. The way our system is designed is that they can have an impact, of course, but the protocol isn't beholden to it. So we went to the market, we raised 1.8 million initially. We split that 5 parts trust fund, 1 part liquidity. And what that means, we have this system called capital synergy now. So all of the funds that we raised were pumped into the protocol. We covered all of our own startup costs ourselves to make sure that the organization was financially sound from the word go. And this system that we call capital synergy then is invested into other protocols. So we're an investor in YieldNodes and lots of other protocols and projects and yield farms. And then that fund is used both as an insurance policy, but then also as a growth engine for the MDB ecosystem. So, and put simply, without going into too much detail, an automatic market maker, which is what most crypto projects is built on, they're quite scary things. Actually, they create, psychologically, they create lots of illusion, which can drive these huge pumps and dumps. And what we did is we designed a system around basically to use the strength of an AMM, but we designed a system around it which removes the weaknesses of the AMM. So it's very difficult for our system to crash out of existence. You would have seen Terra Luna, Celsius, Dramas. Our token dipped just below pre-sale price on a couple of occasions, but just literally by a few percent. Whereas the upside potential within our protocol is significant. So that's sort of the core system. We have a couple of stable backed assets which work on very small taxes, and those assets are then used as utilities, whether it's rewards tokens, whether they're used as an LP pair. 40% of our LP is on them. And then we have Infinity, was our final token that was launched just a couple of weeks ago, which is much more volatile, but then also does use capital synergy underneath it to provide a lot of security, whilst it's also very volatile as well. So Make DeFi Better is the ecosystem. The team is a little bit different from most probably crypto projects because we've lots of real world business experience, and ultimately we're here for the long game, and we wanted to build a DeFi protocol that can deliver great returns for people over a long period of time and for large numbers of people as well. And that's really our ambition. So there's a million other things about our protocol. We have B2B applications which drive revenue streams. We invest the trust fund as well. We have a gravity system which we use to absorb struggling or failed projects. All of those things just act as a driver for that capital synergy system that I mentioned before. So welcome to anybody that's new to the organization. Like I say, if you stick around, there's always a bit of reading to do with any new protocol, but hopefully sort of the numbers speak for itself, and you find something that sort of fits with your risk profile. So today, our relationship with YieldNodes, we've got a partnership with YieldNodes. The full details of that, is TBC. We're finding ways that we can support and work with each other. We're a personal investor in YieldNodes. We're also I suppose an institutional in inverted commas, because we're relatively small on the grand scheme of things. We're an investor within YieldNodes as well. We are an announcement today. We're just about to up that investment quite significantly. So we're looking to take a further $200,000 position in YieldNodes. There's some good news to share today. And Steve's here today. He's the CEO of YieldNodes, and I'll let you kind of introduce yourselves and the organization, Steve.
Okay. So my name is Steve, as you said. I'm 41 years old. No point in lying here. My business partner's name is Urs. We're both Germans, like we originate in Germany, but I'm like half German, half Italian, and he's half German, half Switzerlander, so to speak. We met in Malta like 3.5 years ago and started together this venture. Like we started masternoding and staking cryptocurrency. It was very popular back then. It was already, quite a big market, and it was propagated by sites like Masternodes Online, for instance, or Masternode Buzz, I believe, back then. Anyways, I used to run a Bitcoin ATM machine network, and he was exchanging frequently money, and so we got to talk. Showed me at the beginning, I thought he was kind of crazy because the returns were really very big, especially back then. And after a couple of sessions, meetings, he showed me. I started to masternode and stake myself, and in the end, we started developing YieldNodes, which is celebrating, to make a long story short, 3 years of existence in days. Like we have anniversary, the 3-year anniversary. So we're quite proud of that. 3 years in the game and still going very strong. YieldNodes is paying between 5 and 15% a month. Like what we did is we are having a certain risk in our hands, meaning when people invest with us, we back value to the euro. Nowadays seems a little bit not so good at the moment, because like the dollar against the euro is, I believe, now $1.26. So to keep that in mind and keep watching that. And the last months, it's been more closer to the 5 to 7% range, because the market is just not giving more returns, and we are not magicians that can make money, can make cash appear out of thin air. So we keep refining our project. We keep we did a lot of acquiring during the past years. We have now a so-called Decennomy network, which stands for centralized economy. We have about 20 accounts, 20 different coins, not tokens, but full blockchains under our belt, and a few partner traffic websites that fuel the full system, as well as partner exchanges. One that we currently are regulating, which is part of the network, and two that are partners, which we are going to brand out to spread out a little bit further in the future. And yes, so far everything is going quite well, despite the bad market. We have a quite strong community. We're also quite big in size now because we worked very hard to get a good name and a good reputation. We are very, very transparent. We do every 6 months audits in our hub in Malta, where we invite people to check that money that needs to be there is there in value in the different coins. So that ergo, to make long story short, to prove essentially that it's not a Ponzi scheme. And yeah, still very, very much high risk. We're very transparent on that. This is a high risk venture, definitely. And we always warn people to not over invest despite how good things look or how good things seem to be, because it's, after all, it's unregulated, it's unsupervised. And yeah, if that's the gist of it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And in terms of the scale of your organization today, Steve, in terms of people, revenue under management, what does that look like?
Okay. People, I think we are not very comfortable naming the sum out without, NDA, because we do not want to attract the wrong kind of attention, greedy
Mhm,
hackers that are trying to break the system, to speak.
mhm.
But people-wise, we have about 49,000 funded accounts with BTC under our belt, and we are in the multi-million level, like many, many, many millions size. So quite sizable, I would say.
Very good. Very good. And in terms of, I'm just trying to ask a few questions, sort of general
Sure.
questions, before jumping into specific ones. Obviously, the market has, been extremely challenging. Actually, we launched, and within a week, Terra Luna happened. So basically, all of our existence has been in this market. But even so, in this market, you guys have performed, whilst you say yourself, maybe the yields come down slightly. It's still very attractive and much stronger than most things within the industry. What's the what's the main reasons for that?
Thing is that we keep developing like you guys do. We are a little bit less on the, DeFi goes in a direction where you need to trust the protocol a lot. Like you need to be very careful for potential hacks. Well, we do a lot of the things we do manually. Like we have the blockchain separate, the servers have all their own passwords, the staking, the master noding that is happening. Then we have a lot of auxiliary partners. We are like 50 people in total in the company now. We have the exchanges, we have the traffic websites, and all of this works in our own ecosystem, kind of, because when we approached other partners outside, nothing was being done in the interest of our company. So we continuously replace the elements to create them on our own. For example, we have our own app now out because we couldn't connect with any good developers, so we did it in-house. Same with
Mhm,
the exchange that we partnered with. Like a lot of exchanges look for different metrics when listing, and we had then partnered with our own exchanges to run our own ecosystem to appreciate our own coins stronger. Because in our point is we do everything that is needed from a viewpoint that helps the investor. Investor is our number one metric, so to speak. Every decision that we make in this company is how can we ensure to the highest level of we don't incur as too high risks, that the investors' capital is protected. And so we kept building, acquiring. And if you have many pieces of the puzzle in place, the more control you can exert over such companies, the better and the sturdier the full thing gets. So I believe Urs, this is not my doing, this is more like Urs, my business partner, has been acquiring small projects, especially during the previous bear market, like crazy. And this has helped us immensely. Also, the new features that we implemented, like the emergency withdrawal, when people can go when they want to go before their 6-month lock period is up. Other people can auction it up, get a 20% head start, while the pool gets 5%. Such things, helped us, carry the project.
Hmm.
And I believe this is the secret sauce, so to speak. Plus, of
Yeah.
course, that we amp up our marketing. Like, I'm an affiliate guy. I've been doing affiliate management all my life. And I come from the days when you used to do, projects on ClickBank and G-Store in the German markets. And we are continuously expanding the market step by step. We are not overflowing the marketplace. We're not an MLM company that is trying to get as much money as quickly as possible. Pay sensible returns, and we slowly amp up marketing to reach wider areas. So the lower the prices go, more people we try to reach, which is also quite a good way, to get a lot of capital into the project at lower prices that then is leveraged higher, to
Mm.
speak, is also a good point.
Yeah, yeah, understood. And I suppose in simple terms, then you invest into yield nodes. Your investment is locked for 6 months, and then it's earning a yield throughout that time. But at the 6 month period, then
Exactly.
you can either decide to take your yields at that point, or you can recompound them back in. Um, have I got that
Exactly. And
right?
each compounded amount is locked again for 6 months. However, the seed is not, so you can take the seed out afterwards whenever you like. If you keep it in, it still stays unlocked and still generates yield. The only thing that we are not advertising a lot is that is not advertised on the outset is that we built in on the suggestion of a lot of members that said, you know what, I have a family urgency, a medical um, something medical has happened, some family member has got a disease, a death in the family, and I need my money. Please, can you unlock it? There's always these kinds of emergencies that come up that no one is really expecting. And
Hmm.
we built that in so people can leave earlier at any moment in time while paying a hefty penalty of 25%. And then they can leave with under 72 hours, get their money paid out in Bitcoin, USDT, or Sapphire, which is our in-house currency.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. And in simple terms, if yield nodes was brand new to me, how does yield nodes generate new revenues?
What we do is we have a hybrid model now. At the beginning, we were only masternoding, and masternoding is very similar to mining. Like it's more. I believe it's more steady in a sense that first of all, you don't require a lot of electricity. You don't need mining machines, and you don't need to run any specialized software on that. And second of all, is it's that's quite easy to set up. So you set up servers, and the servers pay out a certain for being part of the blockchain. You get a certain amount of coins dispersed every 24 hours usually. So for instance, with our main currency and the biggest one that we have, which is Sapphire, need to lock up 200,000 Sapphire on a server, which is can be a Linux machine, a really small, tiny PC, even a Chromebook, something like that. And you get a given amount of tokens for partaking in the blockchain. And yeah, this is essentially it. What we work, of course, also in the background is on the appreciation of the coins. Like we give them use cases, we give them ways to be valuable. We connect them to assets that are not online. Like if we go the other way, then DeFi, we try to pack them to assets that exist in real life.
Hmm.
And this way, we try to appreciate the coin while generating more coins. Because usually, was the downfall of a lot of these projects was that projects generated a lot of coin and the value was diluted. When you
Hmm.
work hard that the coin is usable and that the coin can be applied some form or function, can keep that value steady while generating new coins, and this is how the yield is generated.
Yeah, understood. Could you give us maybe one example of that in practice?
So, for instance, like our biggest coin that we have is Sapphire, which is essentially also powering yield nodes. You can exchange to it. We run sometimes some promotions because we want the value of Sapphire to appreciate. So a lot of people go and exchange Bitcoin, for example, to Sapphire to deposit Sapphire and lock it up. The protocol. This creates some pressure on the market for sapphire and elevates the price of it. And so the coins that are generated by there being more coins in the market and as well a higher price, we sell it back to Bitcoin and pay out the yield that way. This is one of the examples. We have 19 more coins. One will be the casino coin. The value is coming from the gambling. One is going to be the electricity coin, where we have already the first station in Germany. You can then pay via coin, and charge up your cars, but also go there and decharge your car, go the other way around, and earn coins for doing so, for providing electricity.
Mhm.
So there's a few of those projects coming, but this is more in Urs's terrain, because I'm the affiliate manager, and Urs is the guy who's managing the use cases.
Mhm. Understood. That was going to be one of my questions, actually. I saw your announcement regarding sort of use within energy and sustainability. I'm not sure if we covered when we met before, but I worked in the industry for a number of years. Actually, I actually ran an electric vehicle charging business across a few markets for
So we
2
need to hire
years.
you up, to make some order here, because it's like a bureaucracy hell, especially in
I think,
Germany, to get this off the
yeah.
ground. People misunderstand, because we get sometimes a question, yeah, and when can I charge, and why is this not done? Real life goes extremely slow compared to the online, what you can do online, and this is one of the reasons why we have been constantly delayed, and everything is moving a little bit on the slow side. It's always the damn bureaucracy, I can tell you.
Yeah, definitely. But actually, it's I think it's one of those industries where I see an opportunity for blockchain technology, token systems to solve that issue. Right, any new industry is the same in telecoms and many other industries, IT, where you've got all of these different charging networks, and then the end user is just bamboozled, right, by all of these different options that are completely fragmented. And a simple blockchain system which can connect, the vehicle to the infrastructure, to the consumer, and even to the consumer's own energy bills at home, and create that on one single smart contract system. There's huge opportunity, but there's huge waste there, and there's huge
There's also
opportunities
a
to
shift in thinking,
disrupt. Yeah.
there's also a shift in thinking, because I understand DeFi and I like DeFi and what it's trying to do. In our case, what we try to do is, like, when we back these real assets, people, for example, we have the Mobic coin, which is going to be deployed for this specific electric usage case. People that buy this Mobic coin will also be owners of those stations, because those stations exist in real life. So let's say something goes bad and the coin is being sold, or something is happening, then these stations can be sold. There's real life value attributed, and there's also a change of thinking here, that when you buy this coin, that you co-own these stations. It's also quite different than just especially for the older generation, because the older generation doesn't understand NFTs or DeFi. They see some number on the screen and they don't understand this is something with real value. And for that market, I can think it can be quite a nice own.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's much easier to sort of merge the technologies in a space that's quite forward thinking already, because the electric vehicle space is already trying to disrupt a traditional industry, right? So, yeah, I think there's huge opportunities to get in there early. I suppose personally, and other people are also interested in sort of what does that plan and journey look like. I think when we spoke for the first and maybe even the second time, you talked about this strategy to take capital off chain as well, and things like energy and sustainability is one of the ways to do that. I suppose just is there a in short summary, could you give us an idea of what that strategy looks like?
A couple of days we have the prospects out. It just takes
Mhm.
a little while, because I know that Urs is the guy who's pushing the business case there. He's having a big interview tomorrow on our channel. And afterwards, we get the prospects out and also show, because people can already go to the first station and see everything working there.
Mhm.
And for me, you understand, like, I'm trying to keep an eye on everything, but I'm not into the detailed cases, because there's currently 20 of them.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit hard. Before I say something wrong, about the use of the electricity token, I better shut my trap and let the man who's actually in charge do the talking then.
Yeah,
That's
no,
okay.
definitely. I'm hugely passionate about both industries, so I'd be more than happy to offer my thoughts and input if it's
Sure.
helpful at all.
Who
Um,
knows? Maybe we can hire you out of here, and you're just gonna try it over, offer you a lucrative job.
I think you're trying to
Steve,
dump your own investment at the moment, Steve.
it's okay. Gonna steal
um,
you, with an offer you cannot afford to
yeah,
say
I'm
it.
the
What's the
Godfather.
word?
I'm the one that makes the
Exactly.
offers that people
I
can't
make the offer.
refuse.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. But you see, my English is a little bit wonky sometimes. This was the
It's
point where I wanted to go.
it's a lot better than my German. A question actually. So I had one other question I was going to ask before going to audience questions, and actually I can see someone in the audience has asked it already, and um, the look, and you always get this right when B&B was it because we're 60% paired to B&B. When B&B touched 200, then people were saying we should get off of B&B, and I was resisting, saying you don't get off when you've run it down. Yeah. um and if we had done, then we would have missed it running all the way back up to 330. So I think I was vindicated in that, but naturally you're in that moment right now where the euro is falling very quickly. You've got the winter of doom everybody's talking about in Europe with Russia and gas. And you can see that I think the chap in the audience has said that when he started his YieldNodes portfolio, the euro to USD was 112. Now it's 0.97, and it keeps falling. Is there a plan to move away from euro, or at least to kind of hedge against that?
Yeah, currently monitoring this very, very closely, and we might, change options here and back towards maybe the dollar. But this is still, we're going to have to see it, if it keeps getting worse. Because like this is one of the things that is a little bit out of our control when you're trying to make good yields, and suddenly your home currency is playing these games with you.
Mm.
So we keep monitoring it. It's always in discussion, and we're going to check in the future.
Difficult, isn't it? Because it's a
This
very quick way to scalp your own organization if you switch and then it goes back the other way, and then you switch again and it goes back the other way. You can deplete your own organization by always changing strategy after the event.
that also, and what's most important is like we have like 80% of our audience is European, so
Mm.
they are quite well versed in the euro. The countries that are outside Europe, like we don't have many American clients. Like we do have, but quite small in size compared to the other areas. But it depends, what is a stable asset to peg against nowadays. Like everything is like the pound is collapsing. The ruble, you cannot peg against the ruble. That would be the very niche market. Gold, yeah, it's hard, at the moment it's really very hard because no one saw this combination of events. We had the pandemic, and right after the war needs to start, energy crisis on top, nuclear threats. I mean, like what it keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question, and I think this is a little bit tongue in cheek, and it's been asked by many people in the audience already. And actually, you know, if anybody could see the document that I hit Steve with in terms of the million suggestions that I have of the ways that we could work with the YieldNodes, I think one of the more transactional ones that actually adds options for your own user base that comes up is offering one of MDB's stable backed assets. Probably Phoenix Plus would be really interesting because of that appreciates even quicker than YieldNodes at the moment, actually. Albeit as it's scaled, it'd probably come down a bit, but it's designed to appreciate double digit on a monthly basis with very, very, very low risk exposure. The question is, would YieldNodes consider using, or is there a path, even if we're hitting you on the
I think
spot?
we can make a discussion about that, because I need to understand the metrics. Truth be told, I didn't look into it because there's so much on my plate that I'm essentially, as I said at the beginning, I even thought you guys were still named $1 Million Baby. because I just trusted you as people, because I see you hardworking, and I didn't dive into the tokenomics of the project here. It was like a Hail Mary kind of investment into the people and not tokenomics. But now that I'm hearing this, I'm quite interested.
Yeah.
That if we can sit down and you have a stable asset that is quite sturdy and it's proven to be sturdy, and we can dive into with our economist guy.
It's actually not sturdy because it can only appreciate. It's mathematically impossible. It's 100% safe.
Sturdy in a meaning of it cannot depreciate at all. Like it cannot fall. It can.
It's mathematically impossible for it to depreciate, but it does appreciate very quickly as well, and it's 100% safe. But yeah, no, we can cover that. I think I heard one of our largest
And
investors.
what? Sorry, just because it's like. And what is the danger of it getting hacked? Like any hack
Zero.
attempts? Zero. Absolutely. 100% sure.
Yeah, and do you know why? Because it's the BUS is 100% backed by BUSD at all times. So your only risk really existentially is BUSD, which obviously is very secure. And the BUSD that backs the currency is actually locked in the contract. And the only way that you can get BUSD out is by redeeming stable backed asset for it. We, as a development, if a piano hit me on the head now, it would have zero impact to people's investment in that asset. And actually, if we were moving to say a V2, and basically we cannot access the liquidity of that. We can push people out, but that would just basically redeem the BUSD into the wallet of the person that owns the asset. It's the only way that BUSD can come out.
Then this is a discussion that needs to be made, I believe. Honestly, we should sit down and discuss this, because if it's easy to implement, it's a cool thing that people we can make them choose. They can choose to redeem, to stay with the euro. It's a choice.
You wouldn't hold in it. You wouldn't hold your value in it. But and actually maybe the conversation for us, almost having a meeting in public here, but maybe there's probably ways that you could use that within an ecosystem like yours actually to drive yield. But you would have limitations because you wouldn't want to be too much of the TVL. But if you were actually using it as a payout currency, that would also significantly drive the TVL, which would significantly drive the amount that you could also use the asset within your ecosystem. And it's very interesting. One of our top investors, Virgil, he said that he would put in at least 6 figures into YieldNodes if you used it. I think he said 7 figures maybe.
Let's have a discussion. Let's set a meeting afterwards. See what we can do here, because I need to also go to us, explain it in layman's terms, so to speak, and it can be done.
Very good, very good. And look, I'm being slightly tongue in cheek as well, but no, genuinely, there is an opportunity there. It's a very clever system where it has very low tax. You paid out into it, and your probability of being cashed out from it into BUSD is very low early on, and that probability increases over time. But the APY is also very, very high. So the probability is that you make much more than the risk of the very small tax that's on the token. But we can cover that another time. A question from one of our community members actually is: could you explain the emergency withdrawal and the lockup period?
Yeah, sure. So essentially, at the beginning when we launched YieldNodes, we had a 6-month lockup period, and this was final. Like you needed to agree to lock your capital for 6 months. Later, because a lot of issues came up with that, we implemented. Sorry, I'm a little bit an airhead. Implemented the feature of the emergency withdrawals. And later on, also because during panicky moments, we noticed a lot of people were trying, especially when the market crashed down, a lot of emergency withdrawals happened because they thought, this is it, we need to get the capital out quickly. And we had hundreds of emergency withdrawals every day. And we thought we need to do something, even with the fee of the 25%, we need to stop the bleeding, because the fee, the fall was much quicker than the 25% penalty could absorb. And we saw that this could be something that could break our backs on the long run. What we did was we made an auction auction page and allowed members that believed in our vision and into the long-term plan that we had with the Xenomi buy these emergency withdrawals. Meaning, when they saw it on the page appearing, someone wants to get out and post it. There's a 72-hour time frame when we need to honor this emergency withdrawal according to our terms of agreement. That person could buy it, essentially, not auction, buy it, sorry. And they would get a 20% bonus on the amount, and 5%, which were the remaining amount, would go towards the pool of yield nodes, so not in our pockets, but into the pool to strengthen the system. The advantage of this system is that there would be no liquidity lost. If no one would buy this emergency withdrawal, we would still honor the deal and pay it out after 72 hours. But since implementing this solution, each time there was usually always between the 1st and the 8th of the month, when people realize when they request a withdrawal, they need to wait a month, because we do withdrawals always the 8th of the month, because we do them manually. We do them automatically manually, meaning like we do them in batches, but we watch the payments, the sums, we do the calculations so that there's no danger of money getting lost by automatic withdrawal. And as soon as people realize they need to wait a month, a lot of them get antsy. Some of them even think, yeah, this must be a scam. I need to wait a month to get my money. There's no 24/7 withdrawal, yada, these kind of things. And they request an emergency withdrawal. There's even some affiliates that cannot wait a month to get their money, and they do an emergency withdrawal for their affiliate earnings every month. Have some guy, I always see him like 20K, wait one more month and get like 25% more, but he wants the money in his pocket, so he requests the money like this. Each his own. Anyways, people then can buy it emergency purchase style, and this has since then been quite the saving grace on some issues when there's a lot of them coming in. Because we have now people that are waiting, and big ones, we implemented a feature that even big ones, because sometimes we have an emergency withdrawal that is like 500K, a million. The biggest one was $1.5 million. And this is not buyable by the general crowd, so to speak. So we implemented also a feature that hacks those up into smaller chunks down to 15K. And so sometimes there's for days, there's not a single emergency withdrawal, because people now understand that there's also a certain, I'm digressing a little bit here. There's also a certain element of psychology in, because people now do a lot less emergency withdrawals, because the human psyche, people do not want other people to have their money. As strange as it may sound, when you know that you put something out there and someone else is getting it with a 20% bonus, you don't want to do it. Like, not you, but the general kind of person. So this also helped a little bit, keeping money in the system. So all in all, it has been very, very beneficial.
Very good, very good. And what do you see? You fared very well in this market. What do you know, if you had to say your top 2 risks for YieldNodes, what would they be?
I think if the market keeps going in this direction and Bitcoin keeps depreciating, because we are still backed against Bitcoin always, like when you look at our currencies, we are quite strong, and we try to deback as much as possible with our own coins and own ecosystems. But if the general sentiment of crypto is going down to, it's very hard to assess. I need to take deposits in account, the sentiment, the emergence, everything. But say Bitcoin goes to 10K or lower, it is not coming up for like a couple of months and is drying out there, then we get a problem with the liquidity, I assume. Other is the hacking danger, which is probably more prevalent in the DeFi sector. We try to be as safe as possible, but for instance, we had a small issue that already was kind of inflated. We need to, for payment days, for the withdrawal days, we need to exchange a lot of our coins into BTC, because people like BTC the most. So we exchanged on a big exchange, a reputable exchange that we cannot name for legal reasons. And on withdrawal day, that exchange blocked us 6 million. right on the day of withdrawal. And since we calculate exactly how much we need to pay out, we needed to overcome this and unlock this as quickly as possible and put a few people onto the waiting list. And this already caused a small panic that we needed to contain. It was really a compliance issue, and people thought we were not liquid anymore, and they were going to the forums to other people telling them. And in the end, we solved it with a blue eye. Everything was okay. But such things, the smallest of things, the smallest of reasons that are out of our control can make or break a system that is depending also on good faith and trust of its members. So if these two things like hacks and hackers and very bad market sentiment, because if it keeps going down and doesn't come back up, I believe it's very dangerous.
Yeah, understood. So you're not completely resistant. I think it's very easy to look at yield nodes and assume that you're resistant to any market conditions whatsoever. But
Not
it's
really, no. It's always high risk. It's always high risk, despite what people tell you. And even if you look at the gains, to see, even if you think that we are going with 5% every month, and if you compound that over the years, you see the sums that you're getting. So we're trying to pay as much as humanly possible, but at a certain point, the problem with a project like YieldNodes is that it goes all well until it doesn't. There's not something where you can say, okay, it's going bad, it's time for you to remove your money or something like that. I couldn't also in good conscience give any warnings like that, because if people withdraw the value, or if too many people withdraw, of course people can withdraw, but if panic ensues and a lot of people withdraw at the same time, down, then the chain suffer, the liquidity suffers in the coin value goes down. This is like a flywheel. It's a flywheel also in the other direction. That's why we want to keep the mood in the project relatively stable. We don't want to it seen hyped up, because we want it to be ethical. But at the same time, we don't want to have to see any FAT created on the other side to just panic people into withdrawing all the time. We can control FAT to a certain extent thanks to the emergency withdrawals, the feature, and some people that understand the long-term vision, but it's still a danger. It's less a danger than it was like years ago, but it's still there. So this is
yeah.
need to be careful about it.
Yeah, understood. And our system, actually, I think I'm surprised, but also flattered that you invested without really completely understanding all of our mechanics, and you had that sort of faith in the team. I really appreciate that. But actually, our system is designed in a way where, as long as we appreciate at a reasonable pace, then the risk is much, much lower for us, because of the way the system works. And when we have huge amounts of volatility, actually, it creates exponential amounts of income for our ecosystem, lots of volatility. But that's also when it's very emotional for investors, right? And that can also be more sort of challenging in terms of the chart. So our strategy is one where our year one goal was to times 10 over the year, and if we times 30 over the year, then there's a risk that that you see a 50% haircut on that, because there's so much more speculation in there rather than just fundamental, and that's really how our system is designed, and also we manage the mood in that way. If we're pumping very hard, we're regularly telling people to take some profits, because if it stops it becoming this sort of uneasy, effectively like a Ponzi system, right, where it becomes this system that can't recover. So we work very hard to try and move up at the right pace, and try and stop
Exactly.
the system overheating too quickly. Otherwise, it naturally just means there's too much of a correction, which is somebody was at the top of that right before you correct. So we just try and keep that in check.
Sounds good. See, that's one of the reasons I invested. No, as said, I invested because of the people. This is the point. I do like sometimes different projects. I don't want to shill any other projects, but I do see something on the market, and you get a certain vibe from it when you are talking to the creators, and when you see how much work is put, how much care is being placed into presenting it, and from that you can already make an assessment. And since I have very little time every day, Like it's a job where you do not get a day off. Like I'm working essentially Monday through Sunday, at least in some form. I can, because I need to manage everything. You cannot trust a lot of people with a lot of money in this business, and therefore I need to rely on gut feeling. And I had a good gut feeling with you. This is why we're here.
Thank you.
Hopefully,
Thank you. It means
we
a lot.
can cooperate a little bit more and even get you're appreciating stablecoin as a payment option. That sounds something that needs to be put on a for discussion.
Definitely. Well,
Very
that'd be
good
a
point.
game changer. Absolutely. So a couple of questions from the audience. So we've got Sol, who is an investor already in YieldNodes. So he's got a few quick fire questions. So he's asked what utilities are you most excited about within the Dysonomy portfolio, and any insight on the future use case or utility plan for any of the coins that you are able to share.
Biggest excitement is that we partnered with the government of Sao Tome and Principe, the small island, that they let us place the use cases that we want on the island, which means the solar technique and the sustainable farming, as well as having our coins integrated in their economy. It's a very small island, but this is the one I'm most excited about because it has the biggest upside. And this we start in the coming year, like we have the agreements in place, but also want to start when it's beneficial. There have been elections on the island as of late, and after the elections, when the government and everything is set in place, we're going to do our first cases there and document them, and everything that we bring to this island that is improving the lives there then be shipped to other governments as an idea for making things better, because it's essentially like said our lighthouse projects. You can go there, you look at it, and you see it's definitely more pluses than minuses. Let's do it over here as well, and this is going then to have a very like a flywheel effect for future growth.
Yeah, that's
For
really
more
interesting.
in-depth information in the next few days, we will get these prospects out. Then you can really see also the electric business, how it's going to work, how our solar business is going to do, the sustainable farming, and all the projects that we are going to materialize over the coming years. We are in a good position because our coins are quite big, and so people are actually listening to us, versus being a startup and you're collecting money to do something has you hit on a lot of closed doors. So I think we are in a very good position. In the future, we'll see those projects come to fruition. We're very hopeful.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, that's super cool because I suppose you've got you look at power generation, power consumption, the infrastructure that sits between the two, because
Exactly.
most of those things in developed markets have been built up in industries for decades. It's very difficult breaking down the walls between them and making it one cohesive system despite the inefficiency. So you've effectively built a use case, or you've built the test case really, and then you'll be able to cookie cutter that into larger environments where it's already a proven containerized model effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, very cool, very cool. Simple question also from Emsol was ETA for the iOS app. He's really interested to see that.
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't get the.
Sorry, speaking very quickly. He was asking what's the ETA for your you said that you've launched an app on Android and iOS is pending. What's the iOS? What's the lead time for that?
That depends on the pretentious Apple shop. Just joking. You know that Apple is usually slower and has more security in the shop implemented. They ask a lot more questions about the company and the details and everything. We have the app in itself already ready, but we are just waiting for the certification. It's not like, in the Google App Store, you put the app, you put the company, you make a few optimizations, and it goes live. So there we did already quite well. I was looking at some stats today, and we're already app number 6, the 6th most popular app in the finance sector in the Google Play Store. So this is a good sign. It's still a little bit glitchy and buggy, but as said, as soon as we can, as soon as Apple lets us, we put the app online.
Very good, very good. And
Also in our
he asked,
interest, we looked at a few metrics, and the average Apple user is actually spending 10 times more than the average Android user, which is probably no surprise, given how pricey the devices are. So yeah, makes
very good.
definitely sense.
Very good. So we've had you for an hour, and I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm only going to ask a couple more questions. And I can see Peasant's actually in the chat answering some of the questions as well. Actually, so maybe he's reduced some of the workload. So there's a question around Discord community, but I think that's probably been answered by Peasant in the chat, and maybe something that you've tried previously. And if someone was looking to invest in YieldNodes, where would they start? They go to the YieldNodes website. It's very simple. Use the MDB referral code, which means that you're helping your protocol at the same time as helping yourself by investing into YieldNodes. I can see that already somebody has shared within the chat, so somebody's trying to get their referral in. But yeah, is there anything,
Filling the
Steve?
wallet, I understand.
Absolutely.
Taking the
The
chance.
Steve, we've got through an hour, and it's been really interesting actually. And like you say, you're
Same for me.
super
I said
busy.
it was my first Discord. It was kind of a freaky feeling, talking to the monitor as if there's a real person. Yeah, but
Well,
it made fun. It was fun. Thanks to
yeah.
everyone who came here and took the time out of their busy lives to listen to us.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And like I say, I'll drop you a note afterwards. If you connect your wallet that holds the MDB, and you'll get your name in black, and then you get access to our yacht club, and that's where Millionaires Club members, and then also anybody who's a VIP, so that owns more than 1 million MDB tokens, gets access to that club. Then yeah, like I say, James, who obviously James did an audit on you guys. He's one of our VIPs, and yeah, we've got a few high profile investors, and you're obviously one of them. So yeah, be looking forward
He's
to
a
seeing you
nice
in there.
guy, a very funny Christian dude. Liked him a lot. He was interviewing me in Malta. He was, as you said, he was at the audit. We went and check the numbers together, so to speak, because even though I'm the CEO, I also use these audits to see how much money, and how much coin value is there, because like I said, we have 50 people, so I'm not like every day seeing exactly where is what. And this is also a control metric for me. And
Mhm.
I met James, I met his friend YouTuber, James, what was his name? So it's just on the tip of the tongue. James Belton was, anyways, better. We stay here all day till it comes back to mind.
But
Where
somebody has said that they're happy for the call to continue whilst we have the discussion around you using our stable backed asset as a payout currency.
No, but it's really interesting. I honestly, we are, whatever helps to create more value. I always have an open ear, and this sounds very good. We will just need to dive into it and see how safe it truly is, also assessed by our coding stuff. But maybe, like, I don't know exactly how it works now because I don't have the knowledge. But if we can, make it as a payout option, because we have USDT, we have Sapphire, and we have BTC, and we also have now USDC integrated. If we can add your coin and people from your community want to be paid out in that coin, even, if we see that it appreciates so well, maybe, I believe it's a great option. Definitely.
No, fantastic. I'd love to ask one question actually, because I was like, the questions we've asked are very sort of like, you could have almost pre-written a lot of the answers. I think I'm sure you've been through quite a journey in the last 3 years. If you could meet Steve from 3 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
Maybe don't do it. You had money before. It's super tiring. It will consume your life like nothing else. Oh, but in all fairness, it's just a tiring job. It's been an incredible journey. It's also tiring. So I would still do everything that I did. Maybe I would try to speed up some more. Now that I know when the bear market is coming, speed up the development, get more pieces in place quicker, because quicker is always better. To develop quicker, get the good guys quicker, fire the bad ones faster. And yeah, all in all, I'm very happy how everything turned out to be, and we're in a great position. I think both of the projects to capitalize on the bull market whenever it might come. So I think that's it. Thanks again,
Fantastic.
guys. Okay.
Yeah,
Honestly, it
fantastic.
was a
Thank you,
great
Steve.
thing to be here.
Yeah, brilliant. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Talk soon. Okay. Talk
Bye.
about the stablecoin integration. Take care.
Absolutely. All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Thanks.